Showdown Part 1 is undeniably a really thought provoking episode of Cheers, with some really great moments in it, but it's not really an episode that I feel should have been a two-parter. I feel like it just doesn't have enough substance to carry itself to a second part, but I'll discuss more of that when I get to the second part. This is the 21st and penultimate episode of the first season of Cheers, and Sam's brother comes to visit. And this is interesting for several reasons, and the first reason is that we never see his brother. And it's a little bit of the Maris treatment. If you're a Frasier fan, you'll know that Maris never appeared, and we have the same here for the same reasons, really, because the description of the character is so perfect. I guess the exact opposite of Maris, but the description is so perfect. How could they show that? Because everybody's tastes are different. If they're building this character up as being just this brilliant person who's multi-talented, mega rich, and drop dead gorgeous, if the viewer doesn't agree with that, it's going to spoil the illusion. But also, I think by not showing the character, it helps to show that this is still Sam's story. This is still Sam's bar. The episode may in theory be focusing on his brother, but actually the main focus is on Sam and about how Sam feels and about how Sam reacts to things. And by not showing his brother, it doesn't take away from that. And I think it was a really good decision. And they've done it very cleverly. For example, everybody's gathered around the piano when he's playing. The crowd is too big. We can't see him. We can hear him tap dancing in the back room, but we can't see him. I thought everything was very effectively done. Very, very well filmed. And we do get a really good look at Sam, how he responds to this, and a little bit about his earlier years. Because Sam, we don't really know that much about Sam's personal life. We never find out that much beyond at least his sporting career. So it's always nice when we get those little glimpses into the other side of Sam Malone. Honestly, though, not much happens in the actual narrative. Thankfully, because I love Sam, I want to know how he feels, I want to dig deeper into his character. I'm absolutely okay with that. But at the same time, I don't feel like it necessarily should have been a two-parter. That's not to say the last episode is bad. It's just, for me, to be honest, I don't feel like they're necessarily two-parters because there's not so much of a narrative, but obviously connected by Sam really opening up to Carla about Diane. And I guess there'll be spoilers from this point on. I'll discuss a few things that happen with a tiny spoiler detail. But Sam really opening up about Diane to Carla, I thought was really lovely. And Carla didn't necessarily make fun of Sam for that. She did question it. She did query how on earth he could like her. But whereas Carla would normally make fun of this or tease Sam for it, there were moments where she just listened, and I think that was a really beautiful thing. And Carla really was a great driving force for getting out a lot of information from Sam in this episode, and she was absolutely brilliant. I love the exchange where Sam kept telling Diane to stay and to not go, and then denying it, and the fact that Diane flipped that on its head and said something to Sam too really cements the fact that they both have feelings for each other. Will they? Won't they? Only time will tell. But I think in terms of being an emotional episode and a very thought-provoking episode, it's brilliant. With how they represented Sam's brother, I thought it was perfect and a really, really clever decision and something that worked very well. We see them doing this with Maris in Frasier, and it's definitely a really practical device, and it is a good episode. It's not the funniest. There are definitely some bits that are funny, but for me, it's definitely more emotional and thought provoking. And I will discuss the second part separately, of course, but as I said, I don't necessarily feel like it could have been a two-parter. I feel like they maybe could have, made this the last episode, cut out a tiny little bit, and wrapped things up. But that would mean we'd have one fewer episode of Cheers, so I can't complain too much. At the end of the day, it is a really, really solid, moving, emotional, thought-provoking episode.